Hi guys, it's Marv again with another one of these special episodes for International Podcast Month, where we are just doing a quick 10 minutes introduction to a friend's podcast, and then I'm going to discuss with this friend a show that they love, and then out again, and then just hoping that you will be introduced to a show that you'll discover and love yourselves. So this time I'm speaking with Deremy Dove from the show. Introduce yourself, Deremy, so I don't look like a fool.
I appreciate it, Martin. I got you. Deremy Dove, co-host of the show Pop Culture 5,
Yeah,
and me and my co-host Thomas Senna, we talk all things pop culture, but each episode we pick a certain topic in music, movies, television, and we like to look at essential. So not
yeah,
best, not favorite, but essential. So we will do five. That's where you get Pop Culture 5 from. Five essential, let's say, Seinfeld episodes or essential Beyonce songs. And we rotate being the host. So if I'm the host for that week, I have three picks. Thomas gets two. But Thomas, since he only has two picks, he has the veto power. So if there is a choice that he disagrees with, he gets to veto, and I have to come up with a different choice. And we rotate each week on who the host is, but it's been a lot of fun. We're coming up in September. We'll be celebrating our 100th episode, and it's just such a blast. And we've tackled so many great topics. So if you're just into pop culture, you can find a music artist, television actor, a director, and we pick five essential. And we had a great discussion. We've had great guests on, so it's been a lot of fun.
yeah. I've listened to a couple of episodes and I love them. I haven't listened to one about Seinfeld yet, so I think I might
Oh,
have to listen to that if you've done Seinfeld.
yes, that's one of our first 10 episodes. Yeah, that was a
And,
great one.
and then I'll find out if Soup Nazi ends up on the top five or not.
Yeah, you got to see. I'd love to
We'll
hear
see.
what you think, Martin.
Absolutely. When we do eventually get back together and do a full length episode of this show, we will go in deep on the subjects that you discuss and the show full in there. So, what is the show that you've come to me with then that is a show that you've loved and that you can't not listen to?
Well, there's so many I could pick from, but I think it'd be best to talk about a show that got me really to loving podcasting, and that show will be going off this fall, but WTF with Marc Maron. That was a show. I am someone who comes from a radio background, loves radio, but that's different than podcasting. It's similar, but it is
Yeah.
different. And when I was getting into podcast back 15 years ago, I was liking the format, but when I heard Marc Maron's show, and as a guy who loves comedy and loves
Yeah.
conversation, and those conversations, the way he made me feel, the way he moved me, where if I was driving and I got to my destination, I didn't want to get out the car because I was hooked by this conversation. Martin, that made me go, I want to be able to do that, and I want to be able to move people. And even if you don't know the guest that he has on, you still wanted to hear those conversations. You wanted to hear that back and forth. And you had amazing laughs because he's a comedian. He gets a lot of comedic friends on, but you get that vulnerability, the way they would open up, that heart. And also, he would kind of bring up his issues. The other guests would bring up their issues, and they would have just amazing, real conversation. And that's a podcast I could say really changed my life.
Well, it's definitely interesting, and it's different to a lot of other shows where somebody's come from a radio background in a way, because Mark has this ability where there's almost an off-kilter sort of effect to it. It's slightly not, it's professional, but unprofessional at the same time, if that makes sense. It sort of
Yes,
allows conversation without boundaries that you would find in a produced show, shall we say?
correct. He made it so natural and such. It's a difference. It is an interview, but it was a conversation, like you said.
Yeah,
And he kind of would just, through humor, through his own vulnerability, Sometimes maybe through being they would go to his garage, so maybe that has something to do with it as well. But you see the guests, you can almost hear them kind of warm up, and then they put their walls down and they're sharing something, and that I bet you going into it they didn't think that they were going to talk about.
Yeah,
But you've just heard such raw, unbelievable conversations, and it's been effective not just with talking about the struggle of a comedian, but I think it's really been a great conversation about mental health.
yeah,
And so many those a lot of those episodes are the ones that really stick out with me. And I think you're right. It's he has such a unique way about him. If you tried to copy it, you could never do it. It's really just it's Marc Maron's.
yeah. But you've also got this thing with him where you can tell the episodes where they're actually there with him in
Mm.
as opposed to it being remote because of that closeness. There's more of a back and forth, and you feel the actual room when they're in the room together with each other more than you do in a remote like we're doing now as well.
No, absolutely. You feel that connection, and it was the first time as someone who loves, as I the show I do, pop culture,
Yep.
you can feel a connection with your favorite TV show, a favorite musical artist. But when it becomes to like radio and podcasting, it's even more because they're in your ear space. And his was the first where I knew who he was as a stand-up. I'll be honest, he wasn't my favorite one of my favorite stand-ups before his podcast. But through that podcast, when I first started listening to it, and I got into it within like the first 50 episodes, I felt like I knew him, and even though I know I don't know him, but I grew to like him, which is even more effective than just if I liked his stand-up set. I feel like I liked him, and I was rooting for him, and I wanted him to figure out why he didn't get on Saturday Night Live when he auditioned. I wanted him to have people on and kind of squelch these long feuds he had with other comedians. When he had a girlfriend, you rooted for him. When his girlfriend died in 2020 during COVID, your heart broke for him. So you kind of it became even more effective than if I just would have liked his stand-up set as a comedian.
Yeah, but in being a stand-up and being used to that is a part of why it works so well, because his natural ability to be able to pull from the audience and react is exactly why he's perfect for the show that he's done for all these years, because he does have that ability to pick up on things and pull things out of the guest, even if those guests didn't think they were going to come up with these things. He picks up on them because of his innate ability to do that through the stand-up and react to it.
He does, but I will say I don't think a lot of comedians could do what he does.
No,
I think he has a special gift. Now, I know he did do radio a little bit himself. That's what he was on Air America before he got fired, and then he does have radio experience, but listening to other comedians who started around the same time, and so many have come after, they can't pull it the way
no.
he does. They can do that with people that they know and they're comedic friends. He did that with comedians he was comfortable with, but with people you could tell he didn't know well, or he knew maybe a little bit years before, but not as tight, or with brand new guests. He did it with President Obama. He did it with just different people. And I think that's a skill set that strictly it's him and a lot of comedians can't do.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, I look forward to our long conversation sometime soon, hopefully. Let
Yes.
people know how they can get hold of you if they want to, Deremy.
Yeah, thank you so much, Martin. I look forward to it as well. You can find Pop Culture 5, and that's you spell out FIVE, anywhere you listen to podcasts. So Apple, Spotify, Amazon, you name it. If you want to follow us on Twitter/X, it's Pop Culture 5 Pod. You spell out five. And also on Instagram, it's Pop Culture 5 Pod. And you can follow and you can see our past episodes. You can see what's coming up. Please, yes, check out, rate, review, like. You can even suggest topics you want for the future. You know, Thomas and I, we love doing this show for the people.
Yep, absolutely. And if you're lucky enough, you might become a guest on the show, which is a cool thing as well. Thanks for
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
Jeremy. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Martin.
You can find Pods Like Us on any streaming platform, and if you just go to themarvzone.org, the opening page of that screen takes you to all of the socials and the email. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening, and hope you listen again to another episode of Pods Like Us.